What's up, everybody? We are now live here, about a minute and a half to go to open, and we are opening on these overnight highs. We saw a really nice pump from the close yesterday. We got that unemployment information here at around 7:30. Came in nice and under expectations, 227,000 as opposed to the 235 expected. There was 233 last time. All signs point to rate cut come September. So we will see what happens there. I will be your host for the day. Back to the drawing board with the funding. I did a good job yesterday of maxing out one of my profits on the combine, and then last night decided to try and take this short here a couple times, and then got stopped on twice, and then it rolled over, and I have that combine a little bit drawn down. So we're going to just mess around with this combine here. I did open up a take profit trader combine as well, but the data over there on Tradeovate is delayed. So if anybody knows how to get that, maybe it's back. All right, we're good now. It's good now. Never mind, it's not delayed. So I'm going to just pop it over here on this screen as well. We are now open. So this will also, I'll pop in and out of this from time to time. You may see this. This is my top take profit trader. So I'm going to try that combine as well. So we'll see if we can get up over that overnight high. And we'll kind of work these combines consecutively and see if we can get our trade setups to work out. Hopefully everybody had a good day yesterday. I had overnight overtime plus bringing my kids to school for the first day of school. And then I finally got a chance to sleep. It was 24 hours straight. So it was not conducive to coming out here and trying to do this stream, right? Some days we get a chance to get on, some days we don't. You can see S&P is creeping up over that 55.34, and the NQ is not quite having it right now. We do have up to 19,398, so that 19,400. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets tagged right there pretty quickly, if that does kind of come into play right there. Hopefully everybody had a good day yesterday. Like I said, overall, just kind of reset, try and refund as much as I possibly can, get as much funding as possible here. I want to see if this S&P is going to fail that level or if we're going to rotate out of it. Let's see. 340 has a 63 lot contract. Negative on the delta. Trying to push up over that. That opening range is pretty tight. The opening range here is about 94 ticks. Not super tight, but back to like a normal opening range, right? 80 something ticks, looking to push back up over it. Wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, that white line there is the 19,400 level, 19,398. That's a pretty important level. Then up after that, up to 610. 610 is the base of that contract gap roll. I did start to say if we can get up, we possibly start getting up into this 610 area here for further continuation. That'll be the decision point if this is going to start to sell from there again, or if we're going to just continue to rotate out and straight up to all-time highs. The 19,544 level, I talked about that early this week. If you check out my write-up, go over to the write-up page, and you can see on this chart here, it's a little sloppy, but I talked about that 18,544, not 18,544 was going to be the bearish line in the sand. And what do you know? We tested that pretty much immediately on open on Monday, and then we've continued straight up since. So just tagging each level along the way, pushing our way up in, and then we consolidated below here yesterday, even after the CPI number, got that employment number information. Now we're breaking out to the upside even further. So looking at that 398, that 400 level, then up to 610 as realistically the next area of interest if we do get up over and start to continue on up straight to the upside. So if 400 holds, good. If not, then watch that. You got the fail of the overnight high. Good work. Good work. How many points you catch there? 30? Quick little 30 points. That's how you do it. Look, that's all it takes is that one little failure right there. That's all it takes. You guys can catch it. You can do your thing. I'm going to be more in commentary mode the rest of this week and moving forward until I get back into my funding. But I want to kind of go through things and let you guys make your choices, make your decisions. If you have questions, let me know. I think that was a really good take there. Always that first little failed break. Even if this is going to be a true breakout, that was a clean move right there. 371 down into the 19, 430. So 69, 340. Oh, man. Can't speak. 61 to 39. There you go, baby. Look at that. Good job. You got the failure on the S&Ps. Confirmed the failure of the overnight high there. Very nice move. Take profit trader. This is going to be my other go-to. We got to trade 5 days. Got to make the normal 3,000 in profit target, but this is very similar to Apex. I got that trailing drawdown, so I'm not going to go crazy with it. Probably trade 2 contracts at a time. I'll watch to see if this is going to be a breakout or not. Nvidia pulled back to 117.71 and then now is pushing up. I think if we can get through here, we can get up into that 400 level. So like a breakout here, instead of playing the break, play the breakout above 71. Or play the breakdown, depending. Looks like Nvidia wants to keep going straight up. So I think if we get through here this time, we can get up to 400. I'm going to take a 2 contract guy on this combine. See if I can play the breakout to 4. Get that thing to squish up to the top side. There is some orders up there that should pull us through. And then I'll take the failed breakdown if it comes back. So I'm going to start trying to work some of those things out where I could trade the breakout, then play the fail breakout. Kind of a little both action. But if this breaks above here, then I will like to see this go long through 400. S&P's is trying to hold that overnight high. Still on top of it at that 54.34.75. Like I said, this is a combine. I'm going to be a little bit aggressive on it. I'm going to try my best to pass it a little quickly. And not super fast, right? I can't pass it in one day here, but Delta's creeping downside. It's interesting. See if it holds that bottom end of the opening range. If not, could give up and rotate back down a bit. Russell's looking like it wants to try and get back on top of the opening range. S&P's is like a little bit tight right in the middle. Still hasn't made a decision on which way it wants to go, but just sort of based on the price action this morning, it's very strong push up. Could see it pull back some to kind of recover that overnight. That's why I like to play that fail breakout strategy, because a lot of times the breakouts do fail. But today I think we can squeeze up to 400 since we're so close to it. I think we can get up and through, then see if we can play the fail breakdown. Take one shot at it long. Pushing up through 80s. There we go. Nice little push through 80s. So you can see the power of 2 contracts there. If you wanted to take one off at the top, you could. But I'm going to squeeze it up into that 400 and see if I can get maybe one off, front run the 400, limit one here. Take one off at 400 and then see if I can get the rest of it to run out and get my max profit for the day on this one. I mean, overall, realistically, at 400, you're already at that $200 daily profit with two contracts. I was risking 5 to make 2,000. That was good. Could have took one off there, maybe, potentially, but just watching the way that was going to squeeze there gave us the confidence on it. Now, if it's going to be the failed breakout, I could play my failed breakout strategy, right? Catch both ends of it. If it's not going to get to 400, then let's see if it'll give me that breakdown this time. I don't want to get wicked in, so I want to be below the body of this candle here. Fail the breakout, push down through this candle, and then, melt off. Playing both ends of the strategy, like I said. today. You make me feel so young. I like the breakout there. I like the hold. But then if you do see a heavy failure, then that could give you a nice, real quick snap back down into that opening range low. I do think that 350 is a target. There is some order sitting. There's 92 contracts sitting at 400, maybe even 100. So watch it get drawn there. You can see it on the dome here. Let's see if we could find it. 400. There it is. 92. You can see the 92 right there. Probably gets drawn to it. Back over 380. But like I said, if we get the failed breakout, it should give you like a snap. I have 2 contracts there. So if I get that snap down through, potentially grab 1 contract off and then rotate the rest of it. But like I said, I think the more likely play is that 400 level getting tagged. NVIDIA is playing with that 119.39 level, which it rejected in the pre-market and yesterday pre-market. So we'll see if it's going to break above that 119.39. If it does, then up to 120.90. So another whole dollar and change for NVIDIA to the upside, potentially, if we do continue on up. But if we fail this 119.39, 119.40, then potential rollover continues. You know, just range bound more so than anything. Watch what happens when that 400 does get tagged. If we do get there, right? I'm talking right here, that white line. Watch and see if it squeezes and pops through with that order that's there, or if it's going to get front run and rejected and people are going to start selling at 19,400. That's what you need to see happen around those large orders. At the moment, creating this pattern here. Like I said, in the combine, I'm a little aggressive, but this is the setup, right? So if we can get the failed breakout, that's key here. It looks like it wants to get heavy, but S&P's holding that little trend line there. If the S&P's can crack this trend line back to VWAP, potentially. It is holding below here. And we're short. See if it decides to go or if it's going to run right straight up to that 400. There we go. Starting to push downside. See if we can get that first contract off. If not, we're going to go to break even anyway because we're up 500 on that there with 2 contracts. I think we could get a little bit deeper in it. If not, we're going to get stopped at even, which we did. There we go. But you can see that whippy move there. Really probably should have front run my contract up a little higher, that first contract off. It's all good. I think we can still get this to go. I'm not going to just chase it though right now. Up 228 on this combine. Not a big rush on it. I do like that heaviness. See if we can get this one going. I don't know how this goes. Oh shit. Sorry about that. Want to get up over that there. 76. Got a little aggressive on this combine here. On this take profit trader. This could get heavy. See if it does. See if that 400 got front run by anybody bigger. I'm going to get this trailed out because I don't like the amount of risk that I'm putting on this trade. So if it gets stopped out, it's fine. I don't want to overdo this take profit trader thing. Take profit, I was a little bit late on. So bouncing from combine to combine for me is a little difficult. So just wait for it. See if we get up over and get closer to 400 now with that failed breakdown. If we push into 400 and get that squeeze again, I will short the overnight high once again. But I do think if we get over 4, you're going to get some of that momentum going from 400. Still don't see it. We're not quite there as far as the book is concerned. Can't see it on the order book. Down below, there's a little bit of size. Okay, we're starting to push up towards that 4. There's some size before it, like a 40 lot. Could play this one more time to the high side here. Play the breakout. This is the aggressive behavior. I'm going to say don't do this craziness on your XFAs if you are in your XFAs. Willing to take the risk to this overnight high low to push up through 400. Limit sell 1 at 4 or front run it at 4. And we're stopped on that, so we're back even. Well, down 1. I still like our failed short. Let's do that. It's going to bounce me around a little bit. This is the aggressiveness of my combine. Trying either side. Nope. All right. Wait. Pause. See what happens at 400. I'm not going to be pushing it. This will go there if it does fail. But I think we can get to 400, like I said. I think that's just more realistic. Oop, wrong one. What's the drawdown? 848. Okay. What do I read in the time and sales? I just look for bigger size getting filled in the time and sales. I want to see like if it's hitting on the bid or if it's hitting the ask. You see red is hitting the ask, green's filling the bids. I want to see if it's going to be aggressive in the buying. If it's large size getting filled, it means there's a lot of interest at that area. When it comes to the order book, I want to see when there's bigger size sitting on the order book on the level 2s. You could see here this 81 contracts right there probably wants to get drawn into it. If it doesn't, people start filling orders in front of it, then potentially you get this sell-off right here like that. And if this is just going to be a manipulation down through that overnight high again, then it's, it is what it is. But like I mentioned, this week is a combine week for me. I'm drawing this down pretty much to be aggressive on it. It's either get to max profit or to draw it down and then go back to zero. This one was already drawn down a little bit, so I was trying to be a little bit aggressive on it to try and come back to even and then beyond. So there you go. That one's no longer good. Get a little aggressive on it. There we are. You can see that's a little manipulative in the action there. Some bigger size got filled. 50 lots at 80. 50 lots got filled at 80. Now you're starting to get a breakdown of the S&Ps. NVIDIA's rolling some, but still staying like in a bull flag type action here between 118.69 and 119.39. I'll buy 2. I want to get up over 400. There we go. If this comes back, I'm stopped out at even on this, but I think we could squeeze up a bit. There we go. Nice little push to the upside there. I was down a little bit from that first trade, but at least we could come into here, secure a little bit of a $200 winner there. I think now that 400 is going to get tagged here. Watch for it to be either explosive or to be front run and sold hard. So that's what that decision point is at that 400 level. It's getting bullish right up into it, right up into it, right up into it. You're seeing that 400 level get pushed into, wicked into, not breaking. I think you could break through that 4, and you're going to watch this thing start to kind of catch a real big bid. That was a nice little catch, little quick little $200 on that catch. Can't be mad at that. Just wanted to see this level break here. It's cleaner to watch on this, so I'm not going to have that on this chart. I'm going to do this over here so you can see it. See that 400 level just run into it, run into it, run into it. It got filled. You would expect it to be now a big time blow off breakthrough with that kind of size getting filled. So without that big push, you get look at how much got filled on that. That's a couple hundred contracts there. 60, 110. Yeah, that was definitely a couple hundred contracts that got filled there. Now, if the overnight high breaks down from there, that's a lot of size that got filled. Yeah, I have a bunch of ineligible combines there, so you can see, and this one only has $100 to it, so you could see that nice little push up over the 400 level. Like I said, you should see this start to break above and start to hold, and then now rally. I mean, honestly, the long idea that I had here, I should have just left on and left it alone with this combine. But like I said, I was just trying to be aggressive on the combine but you're not getting that real big explosive push immediately, which is kind of interesting to me when it comes to that level with that much size. I kind of moved over one of these candles. 400. Once you get through that 400, like I said, that 398 level up into 610, if it starts to continue up, 610. The next area of resistance is 490-ish. There's not like a ton of information that you're going to have. I'll call it 500. So 4 to 500, probably without much resistance. If it just continues straight up, if it does get up over it, 4 to 500 is not a terrible move, right? It seems like it's clean enough to get going. Good job, Charlie. I think the buy was at the overnight high. I mean, I kind of saw this playing out here, being, this breakdown, good, clean, caught it. Once you start to see this start to come into play here where it holds, then you start to rally up. That bullishness there probably should still be holding that on the top trade of 8, but it's all right. See if it gets back down through 400 or if it's going to hold. Much of what I'm doing, like I said, is commentary today. I don't have all the combines that I want to have ready to go. That one I just burnt, so we're good to go on the rest of them. I have one that's supposed to rebuild on Saturday. So next week I'll have a few combines ready to go for nice and clean for stream to show how to pass them without being kind of silly with them like I kind of was today there. But overall, like I said, I think we're just resetting the amount of funding that we're going to get. Sometimes you burn them, sometimes you don't. Russell's creeping down while S&P is creeping up. So Mag 7 names probably doing a bit better than small caps currently. With that unemployment news, with the CPI data, with the PPI data, everything points to rate cut come September. So with that rate cut come September, be mindful of all that, right? I want you to think of like what kind of positioning we want to have for that come into September, right? If we're starting to push this up into all-time highs again prior to that rate decision, then it might be the buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event, right? A lot of those rate cuts tend to lead to sell-offs, even though it is bullish technically for the economy and, for borrowing money and whatnot. But it's not like they're going to cut a ton. They're not going to cut all the way down. They're at what it is now. They're only going to cut probably a quarter, 3/4 basis points at most. So I would be mindful of where we are when we start to approach that FOMC meeting, because that's going to really tell you where you want to do. Sell me the time and sales started, clip it. Already. S&P never really pushed harder to the upside through this overnight high. So maybe get the rotation through 400 back the other direction. If S&P starts to sell here, NVIDIA broke through and is up at 120. So like I said, I think NVIDIA gets up to 120.90, probably minimum if it continues to catch a bid. Looking to the left, 120.90 up to 121.62 are the overhead areas for NVIDIA. We don't really have much else. If it does start to break down, get back below 119.50, then maybe this starts to rotate back that direction. I want to see if S&P is going to start to break this down, right? This overnight high, showing relative weakness. It's a broader market index, right? The S&Ps, so it's going to be a little slower. It's going to have a little bit more different directionality. However, with the Russell showing weakness the way it is, and S&Ps also kind of a little bit of a thicker market, Russell's a lot more small cap stuff. So if you start to see that rotate down, it means there's money flowing back into that Mag 7 likely if you're starting to get this to push back to the upside. So Russell creeping down, catching a little bit of a bottom here at the breakout high of 21.2890. So maybe this is going to start to ignite this to the high side. Can buy this S&P potentially through the high. It's either buy through the high potentially. I'm looking at like breakout type ideas for this. If that fails, then the rotation through here would be a nice move. But I don't think that that's the way it's going to go. Yeah, breakout to the high side definitely made more sense. That 400 level, huge volume, pushed 400. I should still be in that long technically. I got shaken out on that for 200 on the Take Profit Trader Combine. It's all right. I want to see if the S&Ps will give me anything. If the S&Ps can start to give me a little bit of a sell-off, then potentially we can get a little bit of... Oh, I clicked the wrong button, so this quant tower is going to open. 63% long on NASDAQ, 59% long on the S&Ps. I don't want to step in front of this because, like I said, I think up to 500 and then into 610, this market could probably easily get to. So 500's right here. It's not very far off. 500's right there. 500's there. Let's get rid of that little dot that I drew. And then 610, right? 500 will be a first. 610 will be the next area where this market could completely start to just push up into. So maybe wait for any sort of pullback to try and buy up into 500. If S&P start to get heavy and get towards VWAP, then maybe rolling over through overnight highs does give you a little bit of a heavier push, but I don't think it's going to give you a full, complete rollover to previous day highs or anything like that at the moment. Just all data points to bullishness at the moment. So breaking above 400. We did take that. I took that trade on the top tier Take Profit Trader account. And I got wicked out for 200. Could have probably been easily still in this, risking to 400. Up 40 points from there, but that's all good. If you are going to start using these areas, these zones, like I said, realistically, 400 to 500, there's not a lot in between there. Oh, in the recent history, there's some slight pullbacks, but nothing there. And then all the way back, nothing crazy. Really, 495 up to 504, even 550. You might not get anything pulling this back until 500 because it's psychological, then 600 because it's that area of interest. So I think this does become a trend type day. And you can see still pushing straight up. I don't think you're going to get many pullbacks to buy into. But if you do get that pullback, watch the 400, watch 420. 420, just like a number round, an area that the market likes to mess with. Maybe you won't get anything till 5. If you get a pullback down through 5, I think buying through 500 could be interesting. Let's see if there's any. We don't have enough depth of market to get to 500 yet, but we'll get there. I'm pretty sure. Thinking through it all logically made a lot of sense that large order sat there at 400 waiting to get tagged. Reading that, price action, for me, I'm going to take note of that for when I have my funded accounts, or even, moving forward to next week as I have all of my combines ready, available to go after all the rebills come into play and all that stuff. Just noting a lot of these larger iceberg orders and the amount of magnetism that they're showing, especially lately. Lately, it's been, if the order is sitting on the book and it's a key level, it seems like it's just drawing it there and then it's running through it. So it seems like it's a draw to pull it to. There's only been one instance so far that I've noted of that it was actually that 400 level, 19,400 when we broke. Oh, actually, no, it was 19. It was actually. Let's see, where did I put that note? Timeout. There it is. It was 18,400. So 18,400 the other day. I noted that there was a 300 lot. We approached it. Somebody front ran it and bid it up and never got to it. But then once we gapped down through it, it started to act as a capitulation area. So any of these larger size orders that you start seeing floating on the book, if you don't pay for depth of market, I highly recommend you do. Start watching for orders up in the 80, 90, 100s, 100 plus, 200 contracts. Look for those to be draw magnets to a lot of these, the price action to magnetize the price there. And then you'll get that push through like we see right here. You can see that push right through 400. It wasn't as explosive as you would anticipate with that kind of size, but a lot of orders got executed around here, and then they just continued it on. There was really no pullback to it. Honestly, if you were long from here and then just trailed to 399, you never had any no heat on it, right? So instead of maybe taking one off, look to get into it, get that explosiveness, and then start to trail from here as you start to see structure being formed. So just things to note for a breakout type strategy idea. For myself moving forward, and for yourself as well, just kind of notate, understand what you're looking at, see if you can find good information and use it to your advantage. Right now, that is the idea, is if it gets close to one of those large orders, it's going to just pull off of it and run right through it. It seems at the moment, right? As I mentioned, anything from 400 to 500, there's not a lot of resistance in between. So I don't see that there's a lot going on. I'm going to buy one on the S&P. Just let this account either go or not. But this one's in pretty much its last legs. This combine here as well. Like I said, last week was a shit week for me trying to... I was working some of these combines in the background of when I was burning my XFAs, and not that I did anything really completely out of control, but I was trying different strategies on the back end, trying different assets like oil and gold, stuff like that. And, I still don't have a perfect relationship with some of these other ones with some of the nuance. And I oversize on these combines too as well to kind of see what kind of potential there is to certain things of either taking contracts off, adding contracts in. So if you note my combines get some drawdown in them, that's the reason, right? Is because I'm just not 100% totally working these to pass them per se. I'm working them to try and have some skin in the game. I want to pass them all. That's no excuse, right? But trying to work on different things with a little skin in the game is what I kind of want to see. So see if this high of the day break holds or if it's going to break down and fail. There's the S&Ps pulling back, and this combine looks like it wants to get burnt as well. There it goes. So there were no more combines for the day on the Top Step end, but we will continue on here. Trying to buy the high of the day on that one. I tried to see if the S&Ps would catch up, which it obviously did not. So we are pulling back some. See if it holds at 55.34. And then NQ has all the way back down to 400, obviously. If it does pull back into here before wanting to maybe catch a bid, I say 420 is a level that it likes to use as support in any realm. It's the irony of traders. They like funny numbers. They like 420s. They like 666. They like 20s and 80s. So 420 is a 20 level that I would be interested to see if what's going on it. Do you note anything? If you have level 2s, do you see anything on the order book on the dome that's going to draw price to it? I see some 30 lots. So some decent size moving down on the bid. 30, 47 down to 421, right? 421 has some bids there. So maybe potentially get in at a 421. I'm buying a couple on the Top Step Trader. I mean, the tier, whatever you call it. And it's wicking that level, that 420, 425, 421. Wow, it's fast to the downside. It's heavy downside. Heavy downside pressure. Right into the 400 level again, but you see S&P breaking that overnight high. There you go, 421 again. Why would that be rejected? What's going on? Oh, okay. Never mind. Drawdown limit on that. I didn't realize that there was a drawdown limit on it. Okay. But like I said, that 421 level, acting supportive. I'm still working on these other, what's it called? Platforms, trying to bounce back and forth. I'm not very good at what I was doing with that. Should have been at even once I got wicked in at 21. 421, there was, like I said, some size that got filled. 32 is getting filled, some size there. See if this holds or if it's going to continue to rotate down. S&P's is now below the overnight high. We're a little bit of ways away from that overnight high. See if that's going to be magnetized there, right? Pulled towards that big 400 number. If it does come into here and the S&P's is still pulling down towards VWAP, watch our overnight high here for that break. Could be an interesting level to be noting. I want to see if this will hold 421. I kind of had a feeling that this would come into here for a buyer to push it to 500. But if we come down and crack 400, then that could induce some sellers because there was probably some stops down here below 400. Let's see if there's anything. There is a 30-something lot there at 400. Trying to look at the time of this surface DOM here. The book map type thing here. I don't see huge orders resting. Something overhead. We're flashing some 50 lots up over at 440. So maybe 440 gets pushed right here. Some size here at 440. This makes sense. That 420 level makes sense. I talked about it as resistance. Let's see if it acts as a support area or if it's going to flush it and continue downside. It looks like S&P wants to try and retest that 55.34. If it gets back above 55.34, then I would anticipate this to move further upside as well here. That pull back down to 420 and then push up into 500. If you break 500, 610 is that next area. So you may be able to play these bullish continuations on a day like today where all the data points to bullishness for the broader market. You know, does that mean that it's going to trap some longs here and then rotate us down through the overnight high into VWAP. That's a potential as well. So allow this market to kind of give you a little bit of direction on what you want it to do. The moves have been pretty clean. I clearly am in just a state of messy behavior. Don't do dumb shit, as we always say. I went and did it on all of my combines. So we're going to, like I said, Monday is the reset, refresh day. I am going to try my best to get one of these funded or some close to it, because some of these, this one here, oh, not this one. This one is up at 50,500. It was closer to 52, and then I drew it down last night because that's what I was doing lately. This one's burned, and those other two are burned. But we're gonna rebuild one on Saturday, the 17th. So I will get one on the 17th, and that'll be ready for Monday for the stream, ready to kind of kick us off into high gear and get ready to go moving forward. This 420 level still acting as support. Watch to see if it's gonna come in here, base out, and rotate down through support, or if it's gonna come in here, catch a bunch of bids, and then rotate up. I'm trying to see if there's anything that I can see down below. 413. Let's see. I want to turn off the auto center. 413, 50 lots, 46 lots. So it's down into that 410. You have a bunch of contracts kind of stacking up on the bid. So down to 410, there's a bunch of contracts stacking up. Probably pull into here if they want to sweep some liquidity there. Maybe it pushes into 400. Just based on how many contracts are down below on the book looking to get bid up. It looks like people want to get involved in front of 400. Because at 400, there's a 30 lot. I mean, it's not anything crazy, but it seems like they want to get stacked up in front. You can see that there's more double-digit contracts there on the bottom. There's some up above, too, but it feels more of like a draw to pull it to the high side. 57 lots at 434. So this tight little area here is going to be a very interesting area of interest, an area of interest for price to kind of either continue on down through or push back up. As I mentioned, I am in a state of rebuilding my funding. Once I took that payout, it was downhill from there because that first week of August kicked my ass. And then from that point on, it was just try and catch up to no avail. So I don't have any real problems passing combine. So I'm not worried about regaining my funding. This time through, I'm going to probably stick to get myself as much as possible before the end of the month, especially if August is going to be the way it is. I want to roll into September where there's that good trading, where normal price action comes back, and I want to be fully funded and ready to go back for September. Yeah, you just got to wait for the breakout. I really think that 420 is going to be bid up, to be honest. I don't think it wants to break too much. I did mention that down to 410, 413, there was some size on the bid just kind of sitting there in front of 400. So thinking through that, I mean, also this little wick here is kind of interesting. So I would be cautious on kind of just hammering in and out. If you want to scale into something right here where it's holding this, trend here, then I wouldn't be opposed to it. This was a pretty clean pullback for that push up into 500. Yeah, they just mentioned on Top Step TV. You can see the tilt indicator down here. You can see where the average shorts are in from, and the average shorts are in from 402.12, and the average longs are in from 400. So the average long is in the money, and the average short is out of the money. So thinking through it that way, the pressure could come into the shorts because they're so far out of the money. They're going to start having to liquidate if it gets above a certain point. Retail can't hold longer than a lot of other bigger players who have more drawdown wiggle room. If they're going to be average short from 401, and most of these people have, especially in Top Step, have $1,000 or $2,000 max loss limit on a day, you're going to start to see some of these start to short liquidation and the pressure to push back up to 500, right? If the average short price keeps getting further away, it's at 400, 19,400. The long is probably pretty safe because most of the longs, average long price is 401. They're going to be in the money now 40, 50 points. So that long from 420, like I mentioned, seems like it was safe because they were not going to bring it down to 400. They wanted to front run that 400 with the size. You just got decent size filled here around 448, 442. So you're starting to squeeze those shorts out. That's probably stops getting run there. And then also bigger size trying to now hit the bid to catch a lot of these sellers on the way up. There's going to be stops above here, above 82. So I would assume that if it wants to continue long, then they're going to squeeze out these stops that are right up over this. If they squeeze the stops from here, I would think that this gives you the nice pop to 500. Watch, see what kind of size you get at 500. Could give you the push right into 521 almost immediately. Then you're going to see if it's going to make the decision to either roll back through it and then go, or if it's going to roll back over and come back down below 82 and then start to push into this trend line again before it goes long, or it could just go straight up to 610 after it breaks 520. Maybe it breaks here, it chops and continues on. But I do think that it's presenting itself as a trend type day, especially with all the data now pretty much completed. Tomorrow we don't have, we have building permits and consumer sentiment. I think realistically, most of what the Fed data that you're seeing come out, the data that the Fed looks for is out. So you're looking at a bullish kind of continuation day. Unfortunately, I was right in this, but I sized too big. I was right here, and I'm wrong, right? I don't want to be right. That's the thing. As a trader, we always want to be right. We want to have our analysis play out. We want to do all those things. But if you can't execute on it, then you're wrong. So if you're not making money on it, then it doesn't matter if your idea is correct or not. Unless you're getting other people to get involved and get long and allow them to make money, then I'm helpful, right? At least if I could provide value in some sense of the way, then this is where I want to be able to do it for you guys. I talked about the long here I talked about the long from the overnight high. So the long from the overnight high here, right? That made a lot of sense right there. Once we came down, failed that and came back up holding this should bring us to 400 based on the size that was sitting at 400 right here. So once you hit 400 there was about, 200 plus contracts on the book. So there's 200 plus contracts on the ask there, sitting there. You kind of pushed right through it immediately. Now you want to come back to 420. You're seeing that we talked about longs right there. The long there because it was trying to kind of front run that 400 level. If you took a long from 420 and you're up, almost 30 points already, I think pretty much safe, unless you either break even at 420. If price gets down through 420 again, then potentially it rolls to 400 anyway. So you would likely get stopped in that sense. But as long as it kind of holds this trend line and continues up, S&Ps on this end here, this is the only concerning thing is right there that it's rejecting this overnight high. So if it's going to continue to reject this overnight high on the S&Ps, then this probably can break down through that level. So people are also using the S&P levels to trade NASDAQ. So there is some note to watching these levels as they break down. So kind of just talking through these trades, giving you an idea of how to read through the market, make your decisions, make the best decisions that you possibly can. If you size correctly and you're not overly aggressive on setups that maybe aren't your A plus or whatever, if you're just aggressive and then also appropriately sized, a lot of what I talk about is pretty clean. You shouldn't really take much heat. I don't like to use limit orders, and I tried that on the especially on what is it, Take Profit Trader. I don't like to do limit orders on the way down on this type of move for the exact reason what just happened to me. I kind of just wicked in and rotated out and ended up stopping out. But that's just because I didn't allow, because the NASDAQ is so whippy and it pushes through levels a lot more than the S&Ps. So maybe more likely to use limits on the S&Ps instead of just I could wait for this to rotate out. The market's just thick enough where if you mark it in and out, for the most part, you should be fine. You shouldn't get much slippage. Alrighty. I'm a little annoyed about last night because right here, I got short here on this bounce on the break of that previous day high, and it immediately rocketed out, stopped me out for my loss, and then what do you know? Next touch through, you get that complete rollover. But I wasn't staying on till midnight. $9.19 here in the central part of the world, U.S. Central Time. The average shorts are now short from 410. So their average short price keeps creeping up, but they're still out of the money. So people are chasing the top, which kind of tells me that the bulls are still in control. Average long price is 414, so they're still in the money and they're chasing it up, right? They're adding to winners, and these are losers just continually going underwater. So potential, like I said, a break above 82 gives you that push to 500 more likely than not. Got a good feel for these markets, really good understanding of what's going on. I just, like I said, trade a little tight, and I don't give myself the wiggle room that I possibly need in this market environment. So like I mentioned, I'm using the rest of this week to kind of get it out of my system. I'm going to reconvene on Monday with a brand new combine that gets rebuilt on Saturday. I do have 2 combines that I can still work with tomorrow, so I'm going to try and do my best to leave one of those for the stream for you guys. Today I drew this down because I was over aggressive on certain moves, although we were up, and then I stopped myself and then it ran. So like I said, I was trying to play that strategy, that breakout there. It kind of wicked me out and wicked me in. You would anticipate a break of this now too here, this level. If it does crack here above 460, there are a bunch of orders above. Where's that? What is that level? I can't see it on there. That dome. I can't read the actual price. 470. There's a 657 lot, so 470 starts to drag price to there. Attract price buyers into that 470. Attract sellers into 470. Have them try and pick a top. If it makes a new higher high, then watch for 500. And after 500, I think up into 610. We could continue to just grind all the way straight up all day. These slower grinding markets tend to go up with the good data. They tend to go up, right? All the data signs pointed to bullishness stepping in. If we continue to push up, like I said, all the way in, up and through all-time highs and whatnot into the data release, I would imagine the data release coming out makes the market sell off. I mean, we may get that first capitulatory top after they say, okay, we're cutting rates. Then you may fade in and start to rotate down, especially if J. Powell has anything to say about maybe further cuts or holds after that, see what that cut does. I think realistically, it's just it's a wait and see kind of game. But historically, rate cuts tend to lead to some market selling. That 470 order got filled there. S&P is still not playing along, right? Not making as much of a trend to the upside as the NQ is. S&P's is more flat. It's a lot more sideways. The opening range we're pretty much sitting right in it. This is that overnight high. If we crack high of the day, I do think that it kind of pushes up into that 55.60, 55.80, up into that level there. Not a ton of information to the left. You do have this consolidation here. If you break above it, like I said, I still think that this is just going to continue to grind bullishness. Looking for these pullbacks to go long into the market does give you the opportunity to kind of push it into the psychological levels. I said we probably pull back into that 420 level, which we did pretty much exactly, and then rotate off of it, front running that 400, pushing on up, continuing to pressure those shorts who are trying to pick tops. I think once you get up over, like I said, 19,480 probably squeezes you to 500. If this runs into that big seller at 70, if that seller just continues to go and go and go and go and go, then you may break this down with a lower high. Let's see what happens with Delta. Delta's not playing right. You don't have as aggressive a buyer as you did of the aggressive seller there. So that seller came in pretty aggressively, and the buyers are trying to just stair step their way in. If you get another aggressive seller to step in, then you can get this to start to roll once again. But if you start to squeeze up over this, then you're going to start to see a nice the Delta, you'll start to see hammering into a lot more aggressiveness. But right now, you're making a lower high in price and a much lower high in Delta, right? Here, lower high in Delta. Price possibly looking to make a higher high, but you can see this is trying to break. I would expect if it breaks this to push to 500 and watch Delta squeeze through this downtrend there. I want to see if there's any large size at 500. We're not quite there yet on the level twos. Pushing through 72. Once again, you had some bigger size at 60, 59.50, 71. You're 72%, 73% long. But in reading that, still 19,430 is the average long price in the money. It shows that there's winners adding to their winners. And the shorts are short from 415. So still way out of the money. This tilt is 72% positive. 72% of the people are in the money. So that's kind of nice to see that kind of working together. I think if you get a divergence between 73% long and then a lot of them, the majority of them are negative, then potentially that divergence could lead to more selling. But right now you don't see that. It's not heavy tilting to that short side. So let's see if it gets through 80s. If that squeeze through 80s pushes us to 500. NVIDIA just broke through that 120.90, as I mentioned. I was looking for that target. You could see right there, 120, 121 tagged off on. So once again, the equities calls are pretty precise. It is a decision point. We didn't get through 80 yet. We haven't had an 80 print. It's all 79s, 79, 79. The larger size printed at 79. There is, now we're pushing down a bit. Not crazy, but you're running your resistance here. Does this now break through? I think you get that bullish behavior. Should squeeze you. If you can get through 80, then the squeeze is on to 500. Probably pretty quickly. If you print over 80, 81, 82, you run right to 500. That one ticked. It just ticked over it. Didn't squeeze it. S&P's running to that as well, the high end. Looking to break high of the day on the S&Ps. That 80 level acted mad respectful there. See if this holds. The pull back down to 70. More size getting filled. You can see all these getting hit on the bid. 20, 19, 19, 20, 12, 16. Hundreds of contracts filling here because I don't even have the small size here. Everything is 10 and bigger. So hundreds of contracts being executed right here in that 70 to 80 range on the bid, right? They're hitting the bid. They're trying to buy it. That's the bid side. The bigger size is filling on the bid side. Squeeze 80. There's the pop, push, break the high. Here we go. On to the upside we go. $500 should be tagged within a few seconds if it does want to get there. From 400 to 500, that's 100 points that you could have caught realistically, even bought back into. If you got stopped here, bought back into at 420, and then now, trailed out to just below this wick here. And if you get below here, then you probably come into 60. So you're, risking this 20 points to get another 20 points. If you're in the money already from 420, right? 20 to 80, 20 to 80, 20 to 80. You would think if it broke 80 like that and squeezed on up, you would get the push to 500. S&P's rotated off that high. NVIDIA still looking like it wants to use that as resistance. I put this here for a reason. I've had this. I didn't draw this line today. I talked about it earlier. This is going to be an area where NVIDIA is going to have some interest. There's going to be target to pull it to it and then also make a decision. Does it want to go long or short through this level? Right now, if NVIDIA decides to sell off from here, that kind of gives our NQ idea a bit less, less legs, right? But if NVIDIA wants to continue to be bullish and break through that level, although it's had a lot of interest there to sell, a few times in the last little bit, it can get, NVIDIA still can get up to 121.60, 121.50, 121.62 if it wants to break above that level. If it wants to sell from here, it will go back to that 119.50 potentially, or pull back to 120 and then get bid back up again. You can see none of my combines are eligible currently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These three are ineligible. These are just drawn down for the day. This one's in the money. This one's out of the money, but still got $1,000 worth of buffer. Overall, making decisions that quite possibly are correct, and then just not giving them the room. I oversized my combines here, like I said. In the background, while I had my XFAs, I should have been a little bit more focused on passing these instead of just working on other things. But at the time, I was just working on those things. Now it's time to focus back in, regain all the funding for them. Like I said, I'm not going to rush it for the month of August. It's been shitty. If I get some through and into September, then we could start actually having some good September price action. I think the price action will be more clean now that everything is kind of out of the way. And honestly, I've been seeing it well. I just haven't been executing good. Talking about how this would probably be bullish today based on all the data releases coming out in favor of a rate cut. This talked about the long from the overnight high, the failure, right? The failed breakdown. You could have capitalized on our normal strategy right there like Ray did. Ray capitalized on the short from 69 to 39. 61 to 39. So a full, nice, clean move, breakdown. Catch your money and run and be done for the day in the first 2 minutes. Then I was talking about how the failed breakout, right? The actual breakout, potentially higher low, higher low, higher low here leads to the squeeze to 400 with that 200 plus contracts on the ask there. Then I said we pull back to 420. We talked about that there being a support, which it clearly was. Rotated from 420 now up to 480, and we're looking to push into 500. I thought it would be a little cleaner of a push once you broke the high of the day into 500 pretty quickly, but we are still holding up over 480. So I don't know if it's not going to get to 500. I think it probably still does, but who knows if it needs a little bit of a pullback once again to get up in there. If not, if it continues to start to roll over, if S&P wants to stay range bound and continue back down below that 55.34, you may get a rotation back down to the bottom end of the range. So just note that as well. All of these contracts are still in the money from 437. The shorts average is now 431, still out of the money. The shorts are chasing. So 33% of the people are short in Top Step and 40% are out of the money. So of those 33%, a lot of them are still chasing highs. So that's something to note as well for the idea. NVIDIA, once again, trying to break through 120.90. It's kind of giving you a high basing pattern, looking like it wants to break out. If it breaks high a day of 121.06, I bet up to 121.50 would be that next upside target, 121.60. And that should give us enough juice on the S&Ps and the NASDAQ to push us up to the 19,500 area. So pushing up into there. I think you still have the idea correct. I think we're very close to 500, so people may front run it, but you are, on the right side of it, on the long side for now, until this trend line here wants to give up. You are seeing a lack of buying participants at the moment, but I don't think that doesn't mean that it's going to not squeeze up. I think if you squeeze through 500, there's still upside, right? 550 is the upper band of VWAP, so still has that clean move there. NVIDIA is still just dancing around with 120.90. It feels like it's still bullish. It doesn't tell me that it wants to sell off from this level quite yet, right? The way this looks, this NVIDIA looks like it's bullish, right? Even though it's running into resistance, there's not low, like the lows aren't coming in as strong. And there's that push and break above. So that should push your NQ, Abby, in that long. Should push you to 500. So see if you can keep that going based on that and NVIDIA pushing up over that high. See if you can get to 500. And if you get to 500, you probably squeeze 500 up to 520. So 500 to 520, then see if you could trail it. See how much you can get out of that. If you're just trying to scalp it, you should. What are you in long from? 80s or somewhere in the 80s, I'm guessing. There's your 500. And then it didn't print yet. 499. I think actually 500 printed on that. The high of that is 500 quarter. If you're in from nice, 479. That's a really nice entry. Very nice entry. And like I said, I think you're safe up into 500. I don't think it's going to sell right here. Potentially you can be in the money and trailing out and just see how much of this you can get. If your idea is just a quick scalp long, you're already 20 points in the money. Maybe once you get through 500, you get that squeeze up. If you get to pop through 5, then you trail right to 5, and then you see how much you can get past 5. But 5 is going to be that psychological number where a lot of things are going to happen around. NVIDIA is breaking out upside as I expected, so you're still safe with the NVIDIA strength helping you out. NVIDIA pushing up. I think NVIDIA has to 121.50, 121.60 eventually. Does it go cleanly and straight up? I don't know. If you're in from 79, you're still safe. However, that 500 level is reactive, so be mindful. Yeah, 2 contracts. I think I'm at my best when I'm trading 2 contracts. I notice it in the combines a lot, where if I trade 2 contracts, I'm able to get one off at 1-to-1 and then allow the other one to run, and I do a lot better that way. Next go around with my funding account, I might be a little aggressive with, not that I'm going to be aggressive with sizing as far as that's concerned, but with the 2 contracts, just allowing me the ability to kind of just get one off kind of quick, set those limit orders, allow it to just kind of take it out, and if I can catch a runner with the other one, then I'm better off, because then I can now allow that one to breathe a little bit better. When you're playing with one contract, you got to be pretty precise, and you have to allow it to be, trail quick and kind of perfectly. So, yeah, I'm also in that same boat. Thank you. No, the water's good. Still safe at 79. NVIDIA is still going straight up, so should carry you through 500. But like I said, these things do not act perfectly together all the time. It's just that confluence gives you that confidence, right? If you are trailing out, yeah, you definitely should have been at least at even on that, right? When you start to push, from 79 to 500. I probably, personally, especially if I was trading two contracts, I probably would have trailed one at least up to that 500 mark, have the other one at break even, and then see if I can trail that other one up if it breaks up through 500 again. NVIDIA, beautiful move to the upside. I talked about how it didn't look like it was bearish. It looked like I wanted to run here, run right into that 120.90, expect some consolidation. The way this price action worked looked more bullish, in that price action. Everything kind of wound up, and then once it broke here, pretty clean move straight up to 121.40. And I think, like I said, up to 50 and 60s is probably not out of the realm of possibility. Like I said, I think that was going to be a clean move from 121 to 121.50 to 60 area. So if you are trading NVIDIA, or if you're using NVIDIA to your advantage, I think, like I said, Abby's out for 2 there. I talked about if you're trading multiple contracts, it is a little bit easier. If you can, say you were in 79, you get out one at 500, trail the rest, as structure creates. There is that play there as well, just for see if that 500 break this time gives you a nice little pop to like 540. Honestly, I don't think that I think you're going to start to see squeezes come into play today. Every candle since the open since 7:30, every 30-minute candle has been green. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about with you, Abby. I was talking about how NVIDIA was going to go cleanly to 50. And because the way NVIDIA acted, you were still safe in your NQ long from 79. I said you could trail up to 500, maybe take one out at 500, and then allow that runner to go. I think it gets up to 540 before it decides to either fizzle or continue up to 610, right? 540, it probably gets, if it can squeeze up to 20, come back, retest, get to 40. If it fails the 500 level again, then potentially rotates down, but at least you'll have that second contract trailed, right? Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what it all matters, right? I'm in the game. I'm in the business here of maximize your profit, take it off if you can. You don't have to get greedy. A couple $100 a day does go a very long way until you go on a losing streak of 5 straight days of just being wicked out before your move actually happens. And that happened. So it is what it is. But moving forward, right, like I said, the rest of this month, leading into next week, I have a couple combines that'll start at 0 come the 17th. So they rebuild on the 17th. I'm going to get those all ready to go. And then we'll look to show you how to pass them, moving on and moving on and moving on. So up 7,000, didn't take profit time in my gold and NQ trades, so lost half. Yeah, so it's hard to go like by dollars, right? Especially if consistency wise, some people will be like, oh, $7,000, that's a lot of money. And to me, I would take $7,000 and walk away, right? But some people with huge account sizes want to see that go to 10, 20, 30 grand. So who knows how much they're risking to how much their reward is, right? So if you're risking $7,000 to make $7,000, maybe that's good 1-to-1. If you're risking $500 to make $7,000, that's a hell of a trade. It's all relative to kind of what you're risking and what your account size is and what you're doing that way. When it comes to like just trade management and an opportunity, as I mentioned, like I said, I'm in a period of drawdown where last week and the beginning of this week kicked my ass as far as XFAs are concerned. Took my payout, and then since that payout, waiting for it to kind of hit the thing and leading into that waiting period. I think once I got back into it, not that I forced anything. I was a little bit more risk of little tight on my risk, kind of paper cutting myself out, and then I got chopped. Full loss, full loss, full loss. And I only take 2 losers a day, and I don't oversize them. It's just a matter of being a little bit better with timing on those. So I'm going to work the rest of the month to maximize my funding once again, get back to it. Maybe I'll do a little bit more of get to 5 and then trade 2 at a time, just so I never have to really go through this period where there is no funding. It just is what it is. When it comes to these funding companies, you're going to lose the accounts sometimes. I don't want to get into the habit of doing it, and I want to teach you to get into the habit of doing it, but just start to build the consistency. Like I said, I mean, I've showed you how it's possible, right? You could do it if you follow me over the last few months, right? The whole month of June, July, we were base hit every single day, and you're able to pull out $3,000 out of it with just base hits, right? Yeah, it's a super long game, and there's going to be time. Some of the best traders in the world go through huge drawdown periods. It's all just kind of relative to what you're doing and what's happening for you at this time in your trading journey and your career. Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes down to it, I think we all in this room, a lot of, from what I can see and just through conversation, just through chat and kind of what I talk about on a day-to-day basis, I think we have a really good understanding of how the markets actually work and, what kind of going into a day, understanding, hey, this is what type of day it's going to be, right? If you go through my weekly write-ups, if you feel like bored or whatever, or you want to go through like a slight learning period, open TradingView, pull up the NASDAQ, chart, pull up my weekly view, from like 3 to 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then just look at it. Say, what did he say here? What did this do? What kind of week are we going to have? What does the data show? And a lot of what I say in those write-ups, you could see play out pretty cleanly. I mean, there's not much like divergence. It's just a matter of executing it on those day-to-day basis, right? I can be the best at calling out levels, but when it comes down to it, you got to be able to execute it and make that progress for yourself and pay yourself. So allowing that weekly analysis that, okay, Monday's going to be, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's probably no data. So it's going to be, interesting positioning, probably inside days. Don't expect a lot of continuation. You get all of your data up until today, right? Oh, Thursday, we got all of the information now. What does all this information tell me? It tells me Fed wants to see inflation come down. What did they see? Inflation come down. Fed wants to see unemployment numbers consistently show that it's lower. Well, we got that today as well. Unemployment numbers are coming out lower. There's a lot of data pointing to September rate cuts. So what are you going to get? You're going to get some bullishness. It's kind of what the market wants. So today, the idea of failed breakout rotation to me didn't make sense. It made more sense of, okay, we could have caught this little piece, right, for the first move. But once you catch that, you got to understand it's probably not going to happen with that full follow through. So take your quick money and run. And then if you were going to play breakouts to the high side, watch for those bigger size orders to be sitting on the books. Are they going to be magnets? Are they going to start to pull us, right? I note them on my chart here. You can see 200 plus on the ask. There's just things here that help you decide day in and day out. Is the market today going to be rotational or is it going to be trending? Have we been in a downtrend or are we in an uptrend? Where we have been in a downtrend, but today kind of confirmed the break back into bullishness. So if you have that break and that continuation in the bullish camp and you're kind of pushing up, then start to look for pullbacks and play breaks. If you are looking for it to be sideways, then those failed breakouts, rotations back to VWAP, a lot of that is what you'll start to see those play out really nicely on bigger, wider ranges. Also, even then, right, if we were to say this is bullish today, we've opened on the low, then you have a more likely scenario where the failed breakdown of the overnight low and then you push back up. So understanding what the market conditions for the week is telling you and where it would probably end up for the week is going to be important, right? So I mentioned once we broke 400, 500 would come into play. You could see clearly. I talked about buying 420. I don't have anything to execute on, so I'm just here providing value as I should be. I think I owe it to you guys to just continue to come out here every single day and answer any questions you have. I am comfortable talking through it, showing you the realities of trading. If you believe that everybody's doing great all the time, then you're mistaken. I think a lot of these people who are pressure free and take these huge trades and all that stuff, they are making money from selling you courses. They are making money from, streaming and sponsorships and stuff like that. So don't think that everything that they do is going to be exactly how you're going to be able to do it. You have to start to delineate, how can I make this work for me better every single day, just a little bit better every single day? How can I improve? So today, right, what I am starting to implement is a lot more order flow stuff, looking for huge size on the bid, on the ask, and starting to see, okay, what is happening when price gets to that level? Is it pulling price to that level? Are we getting really good order flow? And that could really help. I know a lot of people that don't trade charts. I mean, I don't know them personally, but I know that they are out there. There's a lot of people that, if you research the trading world, they only trade using the DOM and, the level 2 orders. They can see the way price moves in the level 2. They read time and sales. They see how fast it moves. It's a little different in the futures. I mean, if I set this filter down to 1, you'll start to see every single execution, right? You'll start to see it, and you can see, okay, how much is getting filled. You can see ones, 2s, 1s, and then you can start to see 20s, 10s. That's when you start to see price speed up. I have it set to where bigger size flashes so I can just notice it, right? I'm not just reading time and sales. But this is a good thing to start reading that, right? You can watch it. You can see right now it's all 1s and 2s, 1s and 2s, 1s and 2s. If it breaks down and cracks below, let's call it 90 or 80, watch to see, is there going to be bigger size? When price starts to move faster, do you start to see 10s and 15s and 20s? That's what you want to read in the time of sales, right? So start to get into those, what can I improve on today type mentalities, especially when you're in a period of maybe underfunding or drawdown or whatever. I want to improve on my executions, but I think I do a really good job with my executions most of the time. Just maybe a little bit different sizing could help with stuff. You could see just clean, good moves, understanding the price dynamics is kind of what I'm out here trying to help. So if you need help, if you have any questions, that's what I'm here for today and tomorrow and leading into it. Short with a stop, tight. I don't hate it. Let's see what we got on the books. 64% long on the tilt, 19,640, 19,464. So 464. Longs are long from 464. Shorts are short from 464. So basically, the line right now is currently 464. That's where the top step tilt is kind of like break even, I would say, because 64% long. They're all long from this level. 36% short. Average shorts are short from that level. Who's going to be right? Who's going to beat it out? I think we are still in a bullish environment until this trend breaks and holds. More than likely, it's going to get some resistance. But you can see this wick here came in on higher volume than the previous candle, and then you started to get the fade of volume. So potentially that could be a nice rotation point where you say, okay, you're short with a stop tight. How much are you risking per trade to how much are you making, right? If you're up $7,000, let's say on those, or not, you're not up 7 today, you're up 3,500 today, right? For those, how much are you willing to risk today to how much are you willing to make, how much are you willing to give back? You say yesterday you were up 7, gave back half. So if you're up, set a point for yourself. Okay, I won't stop trading, right? I'm not going to stop trading until the day is done. If I feel like my job is to sit here as a trader and trade from 8:30 to 4 or 8:30 to 3, whatever. If that's what you want to do, set, okay, if I go up X dollars, I will not give back more than a third of it, right? So I'll risk up until a third of it and continue to build. If I keep going up and up and up, right? Let's say that number is 5,000. Let's say if I go up $5,000 today, I do not want to go down below 3,500, right? So if I set that pullback number, Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good job, Abby. I like that. What were you short from on that 500 or just shy, like 97? I think you were talking around that time. I like this wick. I like that the volume was 94. The only issue I have is NVIDIA right here. Kaboom. I didn't mention it when it happened, but right to 121.60. I talked about that. You are getting a little bit of like that rising wedge, but I think if it breaks the high 122.29 is that next upper area of interest because we've held above 60 here. If NVIDIA can crack below 121.60, then that'll help your short. However, if NVIDIA continues to break upside and push and stay bullish up to that 122.29, 120, I mean, if it breaks 122.29, where do I have the next area? 125. Watch these names. I'll keep that on the screen for you so you can see it. So you don't have to watch on your screen. Maybe I'll pull it over here so you can see it better. Sorry. I like your short idea if it cracks through that 86. Crack through 86. Hopefully you can get that rotation down to 64. NVIDIA still kind of dancing around with that high. There's the break at 86. Does it hold or is that now the manipulation? There we go. That's a nice breakdown there. You got some orders filling there. Not huge, but look at that push down. Watch that 64 level for your downside target. NVIDIA rolled. There you go. You see that? NVIDIA selling from that high, helping you out, right? Pushing right down to that 63. If you added one through 86, that would have been a good area to add one. Could bounce here from 72. I think 64 makes some sense. 70 makes some sense. If NVIDIA doesn't bounce from 60, you should be good. But if NVIDIA bounces from 60 and tries to push back up to the 122, then you probably stop that even or whatever. Yeah, there you go. You're good right now. NVIDIA is breaking through 121.60, so hopefully it should hold downside. See if that 64 level gets tagged for you. There's a break on NVIDIA. Beautiful breakdown on NVIDIA there for you. That should really help your short. Look at that. Nice move. Oops. Nice move downside there on NVIDIA. Hopefully it gets you down to 64s. NQ is kind of holding up a little bit for now. See if it can get you down through 70. That short was really nice. That ad was good. You're safe currently. I think maybe take one off at 64 unless you're like into trailing the whole thing. I don't know how you do your ads and, take profits and whatnot, but that's a really nice short. Good job, Abby. Good job. Well done. I like that trade. That was really, really good. It was a cheap short from 500. We talked about that wick. Increased volume, right? Failed to break out, rotated down through 500. You got short at 94, basically the break of this trend line. Once you broke through here, I said that if it breaks through 85, 86, then you should get a push and a breakdown, which now you added, which was great. And you pushed right down into 70, took profits at 70, which was nice. That was a really good trade there. I think that was overall net a really good execution. Just being aggressive when you need to be, right? Not giving it back, taking the chance at levels when they give it to you, and that's how I think that's a real key takeaway. We got to be aggressive when it shows it to us, and take our chances, limit our risk, and allow some of these trades to work out a little bit on these moves, right? Because that's a really good way to make your money. If you are risking, $400 or $500, $400, 200 to 400, yeah, you are. I mean, just waiting for the entries, allowing it to time correctly, and taking one shot at it, right? And using the confluences to help you out, right? With NVIDIA selling from the high there at 121.90, 122, not being able to get through 122. S&P just acting slow. Price giving you that nice rising wedge pattern. Key into that. Like, I like when price does this right here. When price does this at a very key level, right? Into a psychological 500, our overnight highs, whatever it is, you do get a nice little snap move, right? Most of the time, that break of that line there, you can see it. A break of this usually will lead, let me see if I'm on the right screen. There we go, yeah. A break of this type of pattern at a key level usually gives you a nice clean move without much resistance. So, adding that plus this trend line here, plus the failed breakout, plus NVIDIA failing and rotating from highs, plus S&P's kind of just lingering, gives you the confidence to be able to take that move and just be able to sit in it for a couple minutes and then allow it to melt off and then take your profits as you move to the downside. And then understand that there is, we're still in a bullish market, right? We're still kind of acting in that direction. Are you looking for a full rotation today? Probably not. We're not looking for that huge pullback. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely. It could happen. And you could trail out and, make your rules where you trail out here, trail out there, and then you catch as much of this move to the downside as possible. If it just melts off, you're short, so you just kind of trail as you go. But it's all a matter of just being here, allowing your profits to capitalize on it, and knowing the market conditions, right? Understand where we're at and what we're looking for. And like I said, that 64 level probably gets hit and then rotates off. We'll see what happens with it there. It's 10 o'clock. You're in that last half hour of that Euro trading session. Could get some volatility coming in here from 10 to 10:30. NVIDIA just caught a little bit of a bid bounce from 121.30, 121.40, now rotating straight back to the upside. So there's you took profit basically at the bottom of this pullback there, which was a really good job, Abby. I like that. that trade management was really good. I think everything about the entry was thought out, right? I don't know. I can't see your thinking or your charting, but understanding that you're like, okay, I'm short here looking for a scalp to the downside. There's a good reason why, right? There's plenty of confluence here to say, okay, we could take a quick pullback trade, take the quick short, understand I'm not getting too greedy when it's getting really heavy, knowing that I'm running into some resistance right here, right? If it doesn't run into resistance, if it continues to sell off, then you can just trail as you go. But knowing that you're at an area where there's interest, you start to see some turnaround, you take your profit, you don't get greedy, knowing that we're in a bullish market. It's pushing upside. We haven't given any reason for price to want to sell off other than key 500 level, right? That's it. Yep, 100%. Absolutely. Appreciate you coming by as much as you have been lately, Abby. It's nice to see people consistently coming in and doing the right things and knowing, just talking about their entries and all that stuff and trade man. It helps other people, right? I could just sit here and talk and give you my analysis and show you the charts and kind of go through confluences, and you can see, like, I show my NVIDIA breaking back through the highs, probably likely going to give you another push through 500 here, a lot of that stuff. But if I just sit here and talk the whole time, you're just going to eventually just drown me out. And with conversation with people like Abby and Ray and Zuka-san and all the the regular people who come in here and have that conversation, it helps kind of bring other perspectives in, and you can kind of bounce ideas off each other. So I'm never going to pretend I'm perfect. Obviously, I am looking to get my funding back and better than ever. So it's just a matter of growing each and every day and having the community together, everybody bouncing ideas off of each other. I don't see any selling pressure in the time and sales. I see just a bunch of ones and twos. This is all ones and twos. If I started to set it to 10, there we go. You can see there. I can see it there. 17, 13, 33. That is a lot of people hitting the ask, so you are right there. If it gets back over 500, I mentioned I think 540 does kind of seem clean. But if we cannot make a new high here, if we can't get back over 500 with the selling pressure that Charlie is looking at, you do see some bigger size getting filled here at 94, 92, 90s, high 90s. Could that be just dragging price to the upside? That's what it seems to be doing today. It seems like the larger size on the book, it's getting people to come in, draw them in, and then just burn right through it. So they're throwing these size orders out here to draw price up, and then they're filling much larger orders on the other end of it in the background and trying to continue to get price to go up. Today is a trending day, right? These pullbacks are going to be shallow. They're not going to be as good as clean as normal, right? Just understanding the type of day it is, the time of day, the season we're in, right? We're in the summer trading months, very low volume, even though it is a clean day and it's, normal, not crazy volume. It's a lower volume day. So just pay attention to that. You could just continue to grind up on a low volume day. There's a break of NVIDIA to the high side once again. So watch 500 to crack. If 500 cracks and you get big fills here, 540. NVIDIA, look at that. Boom. Nice little break. So this pattern here was nice to watch. This is something that I talk about pretty frequently. When you get our type of wedging pattern into a key level, you sweep the shorts, you trap them, right? You trap them right here, right through that low, and then you completely crack through, get back to the highs. Now there should be stops here at those highs, which they just ran. Are they now going to use that to sell heavier, or is that going to now drive price up over that 122.29? Think of it in that. This is like my best John Madden impression as I can do that there, right? If you break this down, you go here, you sweep those lows, you trap the shorts, you stop out the shorts up here. You get everybody to put their stops here. You run those stops in order to sell it off. That's the thought process behind a bigger money player who's trying to manipulate the market into his favorite idea, right? So NVIDIA looking like it wants to sell off now because of that trap. But you have to note that it is going to be a battleground here. If you look at it on the NQ, sorry, I'm on the wrong chart. If you look on the NQ, you have that wedge. You have the breakdown below it. We have not quite made new highs to trap to get stops run, right? So we haven't had that manipulation over that 510 yet to tell you to maybe be short, right? Because I think there's stops over 500. I think potentially that this now got a lot of these stops taken care of and they bid up this area here, that 470, right, where Abby took profits. You're going to get this kind of, consolidated pattern here. We've been in a bullish environment, right? So breakout here, maybe this is a trap to rotate you down below 464. If NVIDIA continues downside, then I would see 464 as an area of interest. If NVIDIA starts to catch a bid again, then you watch and see if that's going to break you back high side. Overall, to me, it's just a lower high. Let's see what Delta's doing. Very flat Delta. Lower high here in price. And then Delta is very flat, but it is making lower highs as well. So confluence there. If this does crack through lower, you get aggressive sellers through this bottom here, then you can start to see this push into that 74s, high volume node there. This is a high volume area here at 74. Crack through 74, down through 64, and then 440, 442. 442 would be a nice area for a bounce if it is going to bounce. I don't see huge size. Tried a long. I thought you were going short. Overall, like I said, NVIDIA now pushing higher again, so that's kind of holding this up a little bit. Abby was talking about going short again from around this level, but then went long, stopped out potentially. Now that you've gotten down here, accumulated some of these orders, seemingly got these stops here. Much of the pullbacks have been bid up today. Is this the last time that the pullback holds, or is it going to break out? Are you going to push through here, push through 500, or are you going to hold this level and continue to rotate downside? NVIDIA is dancing around with 120, 170. The breakout point pretty much right there was 120, 172. So, well, actually, I'll call it 120, 170. So if it doesn't get down below 120, 170 again, then NVIDIA looking, like I said, wants to get back up to 122.30, 122.29, which should squish this right through here and push through and then see if you get some sort of buying pressure to push in. Like I mentioned, also, this is the last half hour of like that Euro trading. Could see some price action that gets a little funky for you, but it's clean so far today. Pullbacks get a bit up. Abby did a really good job of shorting that area based on the confluences. Right now, the confluences are showing NVIDIA holding that 120, 170. S&Ps are still continuing to kind of just stair step upside. NQ is just playing with this 500 level. If it can get up and through 500, like I said, 540, potentially that next area of resistance. But then also I say 610 is probably the ultimate high of the day if we get up to 610. Watch to see if this squeezes up to 510. If not, if 500 fails, then you watch the rotation back the other direction. Re-enter. It would have been good to scalp. Yeah. I kind of just felt like today is just going to slow grind you up to the high side. And I think a lot of the max pain is going to be shorts trying to pick tops. So every time they see sellers come in like this, then you may start to just bid them up. And that's the environment that we're in right now. So if you see like a higher low like this, boom, move down, come back, pull back into like the 80s, not break 80s, start to rotate back up, possibly lower high, a good area to limit risk, play the break, and then you can see if 500 squeezes or if it fails and rotates back down. But at least, you're down with risk basically mitigated, and then you can push and see if that break happens to make the new high of the day, or if it's going to just dance around this level for the rest of the day. It's kind of a wait and see, but we talked pretty much about every single level here and what the market would likely want to do if we broke through these key levels, right? I say 400 to 500, probably pretty clean. Up to 610 would be like an ultimate high of the day, squeeze, push. I do think 540 probably could get tagged. We are starting to run into that lower volume period. It is the summertime months, so a lot of these lower volume grinding type days will continue to just grind straight up all the way. We have not had one 30-minute candle of negative trading. So if you go to Tuesday, we didn't have a red candle on the 30-minute until noon. So we're not quite at noon yet. So we could potentially see this continue to grind straight all the way up. There's nothing saying that it's not going to. But also at the same time, we're in an area where it could just chop the rest of the day because we did go 100 points or more than 100 points. But from that break point, right, 100 points up, kind of just lingering here. If I was a long-term investor type and I was looking to buy, I was pretty much convinced that last Monday with that yen carry trade sell-off that we had, that was a capitulatory bottom, right? Almost got to that 7% drawdown lockout, the circuit breaker. With the pushback up from that 478 level, I mean, that was a great area to build a long-term position long. And, this market was not ready to be sold off that much. And with that extreme fear stepped in, price starting to push back up. I think max pain is to the high side. So people sold out. Big players bought back in. Magically, Warren Buffett was cash right up into that. And I'm guaranteeing that he bought up whatever he bought up after that. So there's that 500 push up to 510. Now is 510 that area where we're going to start to be starting to get squeezy, right? Is this going to be now break high a day, push to 540, or is it going to be sweep 520 and then rotate back down? NVIDIA selling from 121.90, 122. Price still pushing upside in the NQ. Diverting a little bit. But nice clean move right there. Once again, I stream here 8:30 to 11 pretty much every single day. In a period of a little bit of drawdown for myself personally, but we're going to get back and better than ever. Come next week, we're going to be trying to maximize funding once again. Not going to lie to you. I think showing the transparency helps everybody understand that this happens to everybody. I think if you don't think it happens to everybody, you're misunderstood. Still pulled out my, $3,000 from last month, net positive. Need to just reassess, regain the funding, come back better than ever. Come next week, could be. I have one combine setting on the 17th. That'll reset on the 17th, so that should be good. Here we go, up over 520. I talked about this. Hopefully you see it, you hear it. I'm kind of walking you guys through the steps of thinking about it. It's up to you to get through and do the executions. Be able to execute on your own terms based on kind of what I'm talking about. I would have liked you to go long through 500 instead of 520. I think 520 is a manipulative area. I think you could get kind of whippy here. Just be careful, Abby. NVIDIA sold from 122.10, so you might get a quick whip through 20. The 20s are manipulative areas. Just like I said, just be cautious on it. I would have preferred you to be long over here when I was talking about this to being the long, right? That area where I say, okay, we're trying to high or low, push to 500, try to break 500. I think 540 does come in, but I think that there is, now we're in an area where manipulation could happen. They're your middle of a zone. The 20s get choppy. Could you squeeze up and go? Yes, you could. Absolutely. You got to look for these orders to kind of work around. This could easily break through high of day here at 515, pull back straight down to 515, whip you out, and then run back straight up to 541. Or you could be safe and never get stopped out, and it could go straight up, right? It's just how you're going to manage it and how you see that how these orders are going to go. I do think it could squeeze to 41. 122.29 approaching. I think if you don't get any movement on this NQ while NVIDIA approaches 122.29, then I may be cautious to see if this rotates out. But with this continuing up, right, approaching that 122.29, just hit it. Now you're turning around on the NQ. perfect tag on that 122.29 and a beautiful sell from that. I mean, what are these levels that I got going on? Amazing. Hits 122.29, sell initiated, right? I mean, absolute precise levels that I got going on here. At some point soon, I'll be able to maximize my profits on the executions that I'm kind of. I think my levels are some of the best in the business. Not going to toot my own horn, but I can't execute on equities if I don't have equities accounts. But also using that to my advantage to time my NQ trading is really the key to success. When I'm at my best, I'm able to see these levels in NVIDIA, in Microsoft, in S&Ps, in the NQ, and allow them all to line up together to give you that understanding of, okay, this is what's probably going to happen around these levels. Reaction. This is the timing where a lot of players are going to be, this is where I want to get out. This is where I want to get in. Even if it continues upside, you can kind of see that the manipulation was going to happen around that 20 level, because when we got to NVIDIA's 122.29, that was going to be an area where a lot of people are interested in taking profits, right? They've probably been long. If you're an NVIDIA trader, you have a lot of money, right? You can't trade NVIDIA with a really small account size, with any sort of size, right? Because anything over $100 a share, you're going to need, for any sort of profit to be made, you're going to need to have some decent account balance size, right? 100 contracts is 100 and couple $1,000, right? So it's $1,200, $12,000. Okay. But they're probably long NVIDIA from 120 or even, 119.39. They're going to take profits at 121 and they're going to take profits at 122.30. Those are areas that they're going to start to take profits at or look for shorts, right? So then if you're looking at that, introspectively, and you're looking at it for an analysis, they're long from here at 119.39. They're, you see this accumulation, the breakout, they're long, however many thousand shares. They're, living through this pullback. They get to this high. This is the next area of interest. They probably take a little bit off here. That's why you get a little bit of chop. There's interest, but it's still bullish. Maybe they add on the breakout, right? And then their next target area is that 122.30. So you get a heavy seller there, because I guarantee there was a lot of orders just sitting on the ask to get filled. Now they have runners on. These people are in the money, 119.40 to 122.40. That's $3 whole. And in equities world, $3 whole is a lot of money to be trading this, right? And then on a trend day, there's no reason for them to be getting out. They may be holding NVIDIA now, for the rest of the position to kind of run it out. So where is their upside, ideas to kind of get out? That's why there's going to be reaction around there. Could you have held this long if you were able to on the NQ? Absolutely. But you would have had to have withstood down to 500, which is a very difficult thing to do if you're scalping, right? You're not going to be able to hold 30 plus points unless you're in micros or if you have a bigger account size. So that was just my kind of 2 cents on that with Abby's trade through 20s. I'll be right back, 2 seconds, and then we'll finish off the day. Here we go. Back to it. If I'm just going to be the narrator to your trading journey, then hopefully I can help everybody just do a better job of kind of understanding what happens around levels and kind of keeping you sane. Understanding, like I said, the type of day it's going to be, where you want to see things happen. Abby is short from 517. Lower high there. Let's see if you can crack through this little piece here could continue to rotate down. I don't know if it's going to be sold off through. If NVIDIA can get back down through 122.39, then your short will be okay. I do think 541 is probably more likely than any sort of downside yet. I think still this probably holds for now up until 540. I don't see huge orders down below, and up above at 530, we have a 60 lot kind of just sitting there. So 530, there's a 60 lot, could drag us up to 530 to squeeze us to the 540s. You can see this very wide VWAP upper band here. So from there to there, that's one standard deviation currently for the day, and that's a pretty wide area. I would just kind of be cautious on shorts. I think what's going on right now is the bigger buyers are just taking orders from the people trying to pick tops. I think they're kind of feasting on the extreme fear, right? See where we're at right now on the fear greed index. We probably creep back into fear. Yeah, so we're back into fear. People are still scared after that last sell-off. I think much of these big-time market players are going to start looking to feast on the people. They have been, right? They have been. I'm not going to say they're looking to. Every little bit of a pullback, they're buying into because they think all these people are panic selling, so they have just the ability to keep buying these sells because they know I'm pretty much sold that this market makes all-time highs at some point, especially if we can get through 610 and up through 760. That's going to push us into where this contract was. So we basically cleaned up the entire bit of the last contract. We cleaned up that gap up. Now we're rotating back to where that contract was in anticipation of a rate cut in September. So I could see us making new all-time highs prior to the rate cut. Once that rate cut comes in, then I think that seller, those people exacerbate, like, okay, right? If you watch the news, this is my fundamental analysis for the day. If you are want to take notes and then check back with me come rate cut. Let's see. We'll go right here. CME Group rate cut decision. CME countdown rate. There we go. FedWatch tool. This is a very nice tool. You want to understand it a bit better. FedWatch tool. This is my teaching for the day. The next meeting is September. Current rates are, the target rate now is 500 to 525. The September meeting pretty much all but guaranteeing a quarter cut, right? Because we're at 5.5. And then November, they're looking to get another cut with all the anticipation of the cuts, right? So last Fed meeting, he said, we're not cutting rates this time. They did not cut rates. Somebody asked a question. They said, you mentioned in the past that one rate cut will not do anything. What is your anticipation of multiple rate cuts moving forward as the year goes on? He did not say we will not cut rates. He said we will do what is necessary as a governing body of the financial markets not the financial markets, but the Federal Reserve, right? They're going to do what they can to maintain that inflation and that employment, their dual mandate, right? And he kind of went on and on and on about that. But what happens is we're pricing in this rate cut. They anticipate the rate cut in September, pretty much all but guaranteed. 74% think that it's going to be 525. 25% think that we're going to get down all the way to 500. I don't think it's going to be a full that much. I think that quarter cut makes most sense. Then you see 475 the next month. Then December. People are anticipating that the chances of 3 cuts by December are likely. Now, come September 18th, if price gets us over, let's go to this chart. We're at extreme fear down here, right? I'm going to get this, the drawings off of here, and then I'm going to go to the daily. I'm going to give you the daily and give it to you that way. And we're going to turn off my indicator that I made. All right. So here we are. follow along. If you have questions about what I'm about to go over, ask them as I do it. We have capitulated to the downside. This is the yen carry trade gap pushed to the bottom here, right here. Let's see if I could draw with this. Nope. I figured that was going to happen. I can't do that. All right. So just kind of observe it as you can and let me know if you have any questions about what I'm seeing. We have a capitulatory bottom here. Oh, come on. Stupid. Sorry. Get this off of here. Get the crosshairs back. Okay. There we go. We capitulate through 600. We never make a new lower low, right? We hold this low down here right around that 17,500. That was a nice, clean pullback, and it induced fear into the market. When that happens, when you get fear stepping in, extreme fear, and retail and grandma and grandpa and mom and dad and CNBC and everybody is saying it's going to sell, liquidate your position. You see Warren Buffett the week before sell out half of his Apple position. You get this type of price action. People are so willing to sell at lows. It's crazy, right? So you start to see that extreme fear set in right here. And what do you know? We bounced from a very key level that I had drawn up down below, right around this 400 and change level, right? So 400, we'll call it 400. So 17,400, we bounce. We rotate up. You get to now where extreme fear, you start to get to all-time highs as a rate cut comes in. And with rate cuts, usually comes a sell-off in the stock market. So rate cut, usually at the highs, is going to be a capitulatory top. So I would imagine we get very close to the highs here come September 18th. Mark my notes now. We're going to say September 18th is right here. I'd say if we are in that 21,500 range, you're going to start to see sellers step in, and then you'll get pullbacks to a healthy range between 20,005 and 20,000 even. Then you start to get more move. But I would expect come that rate cut, you get a capitulation to the high side, 21,005, 22,000, and then everybody's going to be like, oh, I'm seeing it on CNBC. We got that rate cut. I'm excited to buy. And then you're going to start to see big sellers step in, and that's when they're going to start manipulating you and pulling your money out of the market come there, leading into an election season, leading into that uncertainty of who's going to be the president, what's going to happen with the Fed, what's going to happen with taxes, what's happening with the wars. You got that extreme fear here. You're going to get extreme greed up here, and then you're going to get some selling. So I would say they're positioning themselves to be long into the meeting. If you get a cut, watch for a push up and then a rotate back down. That's my long-term prediction. But I do think we do get up all-time highs prior to that rate cut. And you see it's pretty clean price action on a daily time frame. It doesn't have to happen right away. It doesn't have to happen this week. Just by the end of the month leading into September, I would anticipate being at all-time highs again due to the extreme fear. So that's just my thought on it, my 2 cents. When markets are extremely fearful and you see that fear greed index tick into here, if you go into my weekly write-ups, extreme fear pushes below 25, you start to see grandma, grandpa, CNBC, Fox Business, Bloomberg, everybody saying doom and gloom. You see those capitulation sellers come in, and that's when all these big-time players are going to start to buy you up, leading into a meeting. It's always usually the buy the rumor, sell the news. The reason they buy the rumor is because everybody's scared, but now you're starting to build that from that extreme fear into fear, and then as you approach the top, you'll start to see that creep into greed and extreme greed. And when you get to all-time highs, Warren Buffett says it best, when the market's the most fearful, you buy. When the market's most greedy, you're selling, right? Because you have people to sell to. If my parents or grandparents or my neighbor comes in and says, wow, you see how the market's at all-time highs, I'm going to buy some more. That's when people are starting to sell, right? Because they have people to sell to. Sell to the dummies and buy from all the dummies. That's what they do. They just move the market around. When they see that extreme, they buy. When they see the extreme greed, they sell. And it just works like that over and over and over again. And that's why you see these bigger pullbacks in the market here. You see big pullbacks. You get that. If you watch COVID, right, the COVID low, I was never anticipating a V bottom, right? COVID low down here. I was saying, oh man, there's no way we come back above the highs here. And what do you know? We're double that. You know, we're at from 7,000 up to 20,000 since COVID lows, all on inflation, printed money, recovery. Markets are manipulated, but you could see that big pullback led to this ultimate big upside rally on quantitative easing, on the Fed buying equities, low interest rates, right? Then you start to talk about raising rates, which pulls it back. And then you're talking about cutting rates this whole time. You're going to pull it back after you reach that high. I would anticipate they're not going to start QE. They're just going to start cutting rates to a more manageable position. Yeah, I can see price could capitulate and hold, but once you start to see that extreme greed, that's when you start to expect the sell-off to come. So that's my 2 cents. This was just a manipulation, I think, more than anything. That yen carry trade is just a reason to buy more. All right. I don't like these trend lines, but I like this one here. Just understanding the dynamic of the price action there. Pretty clean movements today. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't quite. The combines and stuff are just a wash at the moment. I'm waiting for Saturday to reset. Tomorrow I'll have one to trade for the stream. It is going to be Friday, summer months, not a huge economic, really. I mean, building permits and consumer sentiment. I would anticipate these coming in line. I don't think that they're going to be that, even though they are red folder events, they'll be more manipulated than anything and then kind of come right back. So anything, just be mindful at that 9 o'clock hour to just be flat or manage your position for the algos. But otherwise, I don't think those are very big numbers. I do like that they have the practice accounts with the drawdowns. I'm really not too worried about my practice executions. I'm able to talk through it. I want to see my analysis play out, and then I want to execute on the I think it's definitely worth it, for wherever you are in your journey as far as practicing certain things. I will start to now, once I build into my combines, I use the combines as, not so much as a practice, but to learn certain things with skin in the game, because I know my personality type, and I know, I can let those practice accounts go and be fine without skin in the game. I want to have that. Really, that's not where I'm at. What is? I don't know what this is. Sorry. Got a text. I like it. That's a good way to do it, just to keep executing. For me personally, I want to work on maybe my analysis is and seeing, what today is, understanding that I kind of had a good feel that today was going to be a trend to the upside kind of day. So maybe just kind of working on seeing the day, watching it, not really getting too worried about executions, building back into what will today bring. Okay, yes, this did this did that. How can I work off of that? And then I can kind of build in and out of that position for me. Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, especially if that's what's going to help you, I don't say that it's a bad thing. I think it's a great thing to practice executions and do all that stuff. I'm just kind of talking through what I'm looking for personally, and how I'm kind of going about this. We're going to have a plan for the next week for maximizing our funding once again. I'm going to kind of throw in and leverage out some combines, see what I can do as far as building up as much funding as I can for September, and look to capitalize on really good price action come once school is all back in session for everybody across the country. The Northeast, they start later. They start in September. Down here in Texas, we started this week. So, in the southern states, we start a little earlier. So you got to kind of understand that maybe, come next month, you're going to get the big market participants back. You're going to get those rate decisions. You're going to get the election coming up. There's going to be a whole lot of opportunity moving into September, October, November, December, the best months to trade, the final quarter of the year. That's what you really want to start to see, where you can make a lot of your money and make your year worthwhile, right? So for me, I want to be able to use August at this point, understanding that it's kind of a shitty month for me, but if I can maximize my funding, that's going to be the plus for the month, right? That's what I'm going to look to do. Maybe, if I pass one XFA by the end of next week, probably still just not trade that, leave it alone for a little bit and build up some more XFAs, try to get to the 5 by September, then come September, maximize my ability to kind of leverage that. I have no problems passing combines. So I'm not too concerned about it. Once you pass it once or twice, you can pretty much get that burden off your shoulders, right? The problem with not being able to pass it the first time is because you have that arbitrary number in your head of, I need to make 3,000. So you kind of leverage into it, and then they trick you into saying, I could pass it in 1 day or 2 days. Apex is 1 day. Top Step makes you do 50%, right? So they kind of say, you can do it in 2 days, technically, if you don't make, with the consistency rule, can't make more than 50% in 1 day. So you'll over leverage, or then people get into the habit of, I get really close, and then they'll just try to make $200 by risking the whole thing. And, you get to a weird place in trading when you're trying to hit a very specific upside target, right? Especially with the account size is so small technically. $2,000 of drawdown to make $3,000 in a target, it's logical. But in reality, really good trading is not, if you were trading your own accounts, you would never try to make $3,000 on $2,000 that quick, right? You would take it slow. You would risk, maybe $100 at a trade and slowly build it up and take your time. That's the same thing you have to do on the funded accounts. But it's just a matter of yes and no. I think the $1,000 saves you more than you think it does, because realistically, you lose that $1,000, then you go on tilt, and you burn it. Allow yourself that breathing room. Try and set your loss limit to less than that $1,000, right? There's no reason to lose 50% of your account in one trading session, especially if you've never passed a combine before. If you passed combines before, or if you've been funded before, I do it, right? I did it today. But I know what I'm doing as far as where I'm leveraging the combine probabilities to my, being able to pass it. And then if I get into a streak of burning them, then I just take a step back and I'll just go into regular trading, $200 to $500 a day, pass hit in a couple weeks and be done, right? So you just got to be mindful of what you're doing here. You sent me a text. Somebody texted me. Oh no. Oh, thank you. All right. So yeah, like I was mentioning, here's that 40 level coming in. Pulled back right to 500, pushing into 40s, squeezing up into 40s. Bullish day, trend day, any pullbacks getting bid up. They're kind of the bigger market participants who move this market are kind of feasting on the fears of anybody who's looking to sell a top. They're trying to get to people who maybe want to get to the point where they don't want to miss the high, right? They don't want to. Okay, that was weird. I hit the back button on my mouse. So understand what they're trying to do will help you kind of make better decisions kind of moving forward. If you guys have questions about passing combines, or if you've never passed a combine and want to be able to do it, next week I will start a combine fresh from zero, kind of show you how I leverage into things, how I make money, how I kind of use the combine to its, to make the money quick enough to be able to do it. Understanding the risk of, if I'm spending $50 per account, risk to reward. I spent $49 on my previous 2 combines that I passed and pulled out $2,800 from them. So the risk to reward there in your investment makes sense, right? And then you can just pull out more and more and more as you start to make more and more, funding, levels, right? So understanding those things and working from there. So next week we'll start that clean. The 17th I get that one rebuild, so we'll start that combine. Tomorrow I'll trade one as well. Probably trade this one. We can walk step by step through what I'm looking at, how I position size on combines as opposed to when I'm building a buffer in an XFA. Because, when you have the XFA, you don't want to lose it, right? You want to hold on to it as long as possible. You want to build the buffer up so you have the ability to start, leveraging into bigger size as you get that bigger balance. And then just kind of take those $200 days, stack them up, especially if you're going to do it, copy trade it across 2 to 5 accounts at a time, right? You want to be able to do that on a consistent basis. But when you're in a combine, you take it serious unless you haven't passed it, right? If you haven't passed it before, take it as if you were going to take your XFA, because it's so difficult to change your mindset if you haven't done it before from at combine to XFA, right? Changing your mindset from combine to funded. If you just traded a combine and you just were so used to making $1,000 a day for 3 days, or you were making $500, $600, $700 and you're stacking it and you pass it in a week, to go on the next following Monday, let's say you activate it on a Friday, you're good, you're ready to go on a Monday, to change your mindset from that aggressive attack mode to get to that $3,000 for $50, right? Pass your account and then now revert back to proper risk management, understanding that now that this is a real account, now I can take money from it, not being scared, but sizing down, correctly managing your risk so you can maintain the account, because you don't want to risk $1,000 a day on that account, if you're going to try and hold it, because 2 days in a row you're done. I only risked 500 account and it took 5 days, and from the point of my first losing day down to burn the accounts, right? So understand it's very unlikely that I usually don't pull that kind of losing streak, but sometimes it happens. And last week was hard for a lot of traders, and understanding that the market environment was a little bit more volatile, probably step back a little bit more, and just continue to make small adjustments in your trading to make it worth your while and be a lot more consistent. So for me personally, like I said, I'm going to use the rest of this month to maximize my funding and teach you how to do it through Top Step, right? Be able to buy a combine, leverage your account, right? And then once you come into the XFA, learn to pull back. I'll keep reiterating, if you've never passed, I would learn to take it slow in the combine. Or if you passed once and never took a payout, these types of things are very difficult to get past, because you're thinking that you can continue what you're doing, over leveraging during a combine, and push it into a funded account. And yes, maybe you might get lucky once or twice and you can build that buffer quick, which is good. But then at the same time, if you take it so fast and you do it again, and the next week you decide, oh man, I'm going to do what I did in the XFA, and you draw down 1,000, like Abby said, oh, they have that $1,000 loss limit per day. You draw down that 1,000. Okay, now you only have 1,000 to work with. Then the next day you're like, oh, I got to make that 1,000 back. Bang, 1,000 again. You're out, right? It's really quick and easy. I mean, especially trading minis. So if you learn during that combine phase to just take it slow, try and pass in a month, right? $3,000 divided by 20 days. If you're not good at math, you do 3,000 divided by 20 trading days, and you make $150 a day. You're going to make more some days. You're going to make less some days. If you try and be consistent to make 150 per day, lock yourself out, build the good, consistent habits. If you see like you're really seeing the market well, like today, right? If I were to have executed on any of these, if I had the combines and the accounts to do it on, right? And allowing things to kind of work out and doing what I'm talking about instead of just not doing it, right? You let this play out. Okay, great. Kind of be able to work these little pullback to 420. I talked about that. I did. I burnt them pretty much last week. Started the ignition of the start of my losing streak, and then you got into a couple of days straight of I won like small. Then I would take 2 trades on my strategy and get to max loss, and then I had a small winner, and then 2. Yeah, last week. I'm not going to blame the market. I'm going to blame myself. Taking that extreme ownership of everything is going to be the key to success long term, right? So there's no blaming the markets. The markets do what they do. It was just a little bit difficult in the environment that I was in as far as I waited. I was really patient, allowed my original normal setups to take place, and I didn't take some of the ones that were a little more aggressive that would have paid off dividends. So kind of seeing things that I call out play out without getting involved, and then seeing my setup come in and then just executing maybe a little bit out of slight revenge, but not necessarily revenge because it is my setup. But understanding that it wasn't playing out perfectly last week kind of got me into a little bit of a hole. And then I kind of just, once you get those XFAs after taking a payout, right? I was up, 4,000. I took my payouts, and that brings your account balance down. So then you got to start that build-up process again. If you hit that losing streak right at the time you take the payout, it's really bad timing. So personally, moving forward, next batch of funding, I'll get back into it. And, like I said, I take my payouts. I'm cool with it. I'm still net positive on it. Come back this week. I'm going to look to this week. Like I lost the accounts yesterday, technically. I wasn't on stream. I had like $100 left on the XFA, took a micro, decided to let it go, and it whipped me out and went on. But like I said, it is what it is. Once you get down to $100, it's not like you're really going to be, you could get lucky and dig out, but it happens. So I'm not concerned. I've passed countless combines. I've had funded accounts. I've taken payouts. Every single time I take a payout and I build the bigger buffer, and each time I'm going to start to, like last time I had 3 XFAs, I'm going to try and get 5 this time. Moving into the best trading months of the year, September through December, in an election year, I want to be fully prepared to be able to capitalize on that moving forward. So I'm going to use the rest of August to maximize my funding, do my best. I know it's tough market conditions, but like I said, we called out a lot of really good price action today, a lot of good confluences. I'm starting to utilize more of these order flow block orders to my advantage. So I'm going to start capitalizing on some of those moves within combines, and I'll show you guys how I can go about doing that. And, we talked about it today. Abby can kind of attest to it. She's been here all day kind of talking through her trades, talking about our normal strategy. Honestly, right here, it even worked. Like Ray was done in 2 minutes today, right? Because we opened up, he took his short on the failed breakout of the overnight high, caught from, I think he said from 91. No, he caught from 61. So he waited down to 39. Caught that move right there, caught that piece, normal failed breakout. Boom, he's done in his XFA, walks away with some profit on the day, locks out. As the day progressed, right, you're looking at these breakout levels. You say you're holding overnight highs. We talked about the 400. Once 400 breaks, 500 was going to come in. Pretty much clean move to 500. Pull back to 420 we talked about. Abby talked about her short from 494 down to 71. Really nice, clean move there. Really good. And now kind of just using NVIDIA to kind of help our understanding of where we are at with the price and all that. But right now it's kind of selling off again from that 122.29. So that 41 level that I drew up, pretty clean as well, huh? Not so bad with my levels and the ideas that we have in place. So I'm not going to complain about my ability to read a market or any of that. I just want to improve executions on shitty weeks or not trade at all. Honestly, I did a really good job of avoiding that really volatile day. I just didn't execute on it. Could have made some money on it, but the downside risk was bad, so I didn't. I did a good job of managing my risk on the next day, and then we kind of hit off on a couple losers in a row, which kind of led to the downfall of the accounts. But like I said, next week, even tomorrow, I'll trade this account, or I'll trade one of these accounts that's still here. And then I have a rebill on Saturday, I should say. I'll trade this account tomorrow. And then, like I said, we have a rebill Saturday. I'm going to work my best to leverage and get to 5 accounts by September, and we'll go from there. And I'm going to show you guys how to pass, how I leverage into combines as opposed to an XFA, the difference in mentality, being able to adjust from one to the other, right? Abby does that on her end, but she does it from practice account to combine or whatever. I don't know right now in between, but saying she locked out this morning, having the practice account to leverage into bigger size, to see those bigger numbers, to understand that you can see, the possibilities and stuff like that, but understanding as well that those are not numbers that you're going to see once you move into the combine. And then once you move from the combine to the XFA, it's weird to think about where in a practice account, you're making 10,000 a day. In a combine, you can only, if you're doing a 50K account, you're going to make 1,500 max a day if you want to if you want to follow their rules to a T, right? You do 15 contracts, 1,500 a day in in a combine. And then in the XFA, until you build that buffer, you're going to be looking for that 200 to 500 a day, right? 100, 200, 300 to 500. And that's like going to be the high end a lot of times. You're going to have those $1,000 days, but those are going to be more outliers, right? So you're scaling down as you get funded. And then as your funding builds, then you can scale up and up and up and up. And that's when you see some of these people trading the bigger contract sizes with those really big profit swings, because they're building a buffer, then, aggressively stepping into it. So Abby getting used to those big numbers in practice, scaling down into XFAs, and then as you build that XFA balance, scaling back up, right? So that's the way to do it. So if you can understand that mentality, then you're going to be much better off. Yeah. Does that make sense? I think anybody also who says that they don't lose their funded accounts is lying to you. They have just a bunch of funded accounts all over the place, and they'll just rotate in some. They over leverage the way that they price them, and the way that the possibilities to get payouts. If you leverage them correctly, you're going to blow a few. You're going to make money off of a few. You're going to blow a few. It's just kind of the way it works out. And if you can do it correctly and scale, how much you spend compared to how much you're making, then that makes a lot of, logic. But I think most people aren't live streaming. You're seeing a lot of people on Instagram and you're only seeing their highlight reel. So I think for the most part, me just being here every day, be it paid or not or whatever, I'm not paid. I'm just here to try and help out and give everybody the best opportunity that they can to see the realities of this and see somebody that's sort of more like you than you can imagine, right? Like all these Instagram influencers and all that stuff, they're living a life that, maybe you want to live that eventually and you can get there, but they're at that point where they never showed you the beginning part where it's really fucking hard. So don't give up, but also don't try and do too much too soon. I do 4 to 5 in combine sometimes. Like today. This 41 level I like it a lot. But I think 610 comes in today at some point, probably during power hour. Just the way price has been going. Bullish type day. 41, I did mention this was going to be a key area of interest. The volume was here at 1042. The push right into 41. And then now you just got literally no volume left. Pushing into 11 o'clock. Probably could get a rollover, but also, like I said, those grinding, slow trend days tend to just keep going up, especially on the low volume. If you start to get volume in and you sell off, you get one of these pullbacks around the key levels, right? But other than that, all right, I got about 2 minutes left in the stream here. I don't have anything to trade or anything like that. So I'm going to be on again tomorrow morning, 8:30 normal time. Like I'm mentioning, I'm trying my best to maximize funding the rest of the month. Everybody loses their most money around this time. I'm going to say most traders go to lunch from this 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock Eastern till about 1:30. Yeah, that's the lunch hour doldrums where people lose a lot of money because they're trading against algos only and they're just getting whipped around, manipulated a bit. So this is a good time to go take a break, go for a walk, go do your thing. There's a reason why I stop at 11, also because I do work, so I got to go into work, get myself ready, do some stuff around the house. Now that my oldest is in school, I could do a little bit more, maybe longer if we're going to do courses. Come August 26th, that's going to be when I start teaching in the boot camp here at TradeCaster.com. I'll have a little bit more structure to everything that I kind of go over on a day-to-day basis. You guys that are here all the time, you understand kind of what I do and what we got going on. But I'm going to teach to the combine, to the boot camp. If you want to get involved, use my code Policing Bips. You have to get a 6-month membership or more. I think you'll get all of Deck's recordings, and everybody who has taught so far, you'll get the recordings as well. So you could always catch up to what you've missed. It started this month, past Monday. So use Policing Pips, sign up for a 6-month membership, and you'll get access to it. Otherwise, if you want to stay in the free room, I'll be free for the time being until the deck makes me not be free anymore. And then you'll have to have a membership anyway, still using code Policing Pips if you want. I think I'm 100% guarantee that people lose their funded accounts all the time. So if you watch like Top Step TV or any of those guys, even their best trader, Top Step's best trader, right, Dakota or whatever, he had hundreds. He had a live funded account with them that was up over almost $200,000, and he burnt that account, right? It's just a matter of how much are you taking out to how much are you spending. So this will be my last little rant at 11 o'clock here, and then we'll get off. If you watch Austin Silver, if you watch Trades by Matt, and any of these guys, any of these big pieces there, they lose money. Even Top Step's CEO, Patak, he is in there every day, and he loses money, he makes money. It's just it's a long-term game, especially with these funding companies. You have to understand you're going to lose the accounts. It's going to be frustrating. I'm pissed off at myself, right? You should never, you feel like you should never do these things and you should never make these mistakes. But at the end of the day, it's part of it, and you have to just keep moving forward. If you watch all of these people do it, you have to kind of go through bad times to understand how to make money and how to leverage it, right? So even if you go to Caesar's room, I'm sure he's lost plenty of funded accounts, right? You have to know that you're basically using your $50, your $150, $200 to try and leverage out as much as you can out of that funded account, and then go from there and pull it back, and then do it again and do it again and do it again. Like Rips, if you watch Rips is a really good trader. He's one of their top payout guys on Top Step. He's been trading for a long time. But if you go look at he actually shows his losses, and he has burned XFAs and, accounts here and there. But you can see he has 10 XFAs that he's working at a time, where you can make money on some, lose some, burn some, take payouts on others, and then just kind of keep rotating in some. And then obviously some of the other guys, yeah, everybody loses. It's part of the game. You're going to burn these accounts. It's just, like I said, it's about leveraging them. You don't want to overdo it, right? You want to try and keep it as long as possible. That's the goal, right? Try and keep them for as long as possible. Do your best to build out, take money, take a payout, and then do it again. Do it again, do it again, do it again. As long as you can take more money out than you put in, then you're profitable, right? That's just kind of the name of the game when it comes to the funding companies. If it's your own personal money, if you put 50 grand in an AMP account, fucking treat that like gold. Don't over leverage. Don't take a 15 lot mini and risk 10 grand of that 50K, because that's your hard earned $50,000 that you need to protect like it's your baby, and try and, slowly build that, grow it over the period of time. Yes, you can leverage into positions. Yes, you can have your own personal loss limits for days. But when you're leveraging funding companies, you're going to be trading 2-3 minis, and you're going to be trading. These are things that you can do on a funding company, because you're only risking technically $200, right? After activation fees and all that. Take out $2 grand, 200 to make $2 grand, 200 to make $2 grand, right? Maybe some people are making $10, $20, $30,000, $100,000. That Abby said, Rafa, that guy has crushed it. But you got to try and keep them as long as possible. And I'm trying to just do that for you guys here live, and I'll do it every single day. And if you believe me or not, I'm here to show you that it is possible to do it with a family, with a job, with a business, doing it every single day, coming in. Sometimes you're going to have shitty days, shitty weeks, crappy months. You just want to don't do dumb shit, right? Don't do dumb shit is the motto in here. So it's not that you're going to lose accounts by, YOLO gambling 5 lots into a contract and just whatever happens, right? That's not my game, right? I don't think that that's the appropriate way to do it, because you're not building success long term. But also, you're going to start to, not do dumb shit. You're going to build into your positions. You're going to take good trades. You're going to do it with a system, right? Sometimes I don't even think, right? Like all of last week, I lost the account yesterday, like officially, but technically I guess I would have lost it last week based on the way the price, based on the way I traded. But I didn't do dumb shit. I stuck to my plan. I was very strict to my rules. I did everything that I needed to do every step of the way. It just happened to be that I hit a point of drawdown right at the perfect time after I took a withdrawal, because I take the withdrawal. Then after the withdrawal, you get this crazy volatility, and these funding companies, yes, you can make a lot of money, but you can get whipped in and out and be done kind of quickly. And kind of my strategy just didn't work perfectly at that time. But I'm going to be back on tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., 11 Central Time. Starting Saturday, I get a reset on one of my combines. We'll start a fresh one Monday, and I'm going to walk you guys through every trade live here on the account, how to pass that combine over the next week or so, 2 weeks. And then we'll leverage into one at a time, and I'll pass a few, and we'll get back to funded. We'll show you the payouts as I do them. Everything I did, I've done. If you want to go back and review on YouTube, you could. All these live streams are still on YouTube. You can go back, see what I did on a day-to-day basis. All of it's transparent. All of the payouts I took, all of the losses, all the wins, the whole month of July, all of that time, this whole year has been documented. So you can see what I've done. There's no hiding anything. I do it live just to kind of keep you guys in the loop and help as best I can, because I think at the end of the day, that's where I provide the most value. If you guys do want to go to this here, if you want to get in the combine, if you want to get into the Tradecaster bootcamp for this week, for this month, I'm sorry. AK just started teaching today. He's going to roll into next week. I start the 26th. If you use code PolicingPips, that will get you 10% off all your memberships. You do need to get a 6-month membership. Oops. Sorry. If you want to go back and review any of the videos, Deck's going to post everything in the review in the video. So I appreciate you guys all coming by, Hopefully the analysis today helped. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit about some of the order flow stuff, some about, market environments, where I thought today would go after all the data is finally released, back up to probably 610. So eyeball that 610 level. All of the levels that we talked about have been pretty reactive. Watching NVIDIA, getting that confluence. Any more questions? Otherwise, I'm going to take off. Tomorrow morning, I'll be here 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Back at it again, ready to go and start to build back into our funded accounts and make another payout. And like I said, September through December is going to be the best months to trade. Get yourself funded before September. Be able to leverage into rate decision in September. November is going to be election season. You have a lot of more market participants coming back September. So get yourself funded, get yourself ready to go for September. August is usually the worst trading month, and it's already proven that to me. So I'm going to get myself back in business, and we're going to be ready to go for September. Like I said, I'm going to teach everything I know come August 26th in my version of the boot camp. I'm going to do my best to kind of lay everything out with some structure. So if you want to get involved in the boot camp, go over there and grab a 6-month membership. It's 10% off with code Policing Pips, and it'll show Deck that I'm bringing people to the camp. So until tomorrow, I'll talk to you guys all 8:30 morning. Peace out.